Hey everybody, this is Nick at Maker Playground. Welcome to another Tool Tuesday. Today I'm going to show you how and why we use this machine behind me, a drill press, to help us make the project that our fifth graders are making this semester. It's also a fun little build that you can do with your friends or your family, especially if you want to have something that you made with your own hands inside your house that you use every day. One of the cool things about this project is you need one board. This is a shortened version of a 1x4 that I picked up, and you're just going to make a couple cuts, and then we're going to bring it over to the drill press. And then really the only other thing that you need is a drill and maybe some wood glue. So first up, we're going to make an 11.5 inch long cut, and then we're going to need two 6.5 inch long cuts, and we're going to mark those individually. So I'm going to make my first cut 11.5 inch, and then I'm going to come back and mark a 6.5, cut that, and then another 6.5 and cut that. Next thing I'm going to do, and you'll see why in the finished project, but I'm going to cut the corners off of one side of each of my short boards at a 45-degree angle. To do that, I'm going to set my chop saw to 45 degrees, and then when I do this, I want to make sure that I am cutting in the obtuse angle here. So I don't want to be in here when I'm operating the saw. It doesn't give me a lot of room for my hand, so I'm going to do it out here. All right, now we've got our pieces cut, and we are going to turn it into this very fancy paper towel holder. So all we have to do that is put some holes in each one of our short pieces. Now we've got a 3/4 inch dowel rod. So for our holes, since we want this to be able to move freely, we're gonna actually make that hole a little bigger. We're gonna use a 13/16 Forstner bit. And for that, we're gonna come to the drill press. All right, so to get this hole, we're using a Forstner bit. You could also use a spade bit. It's also gonna give you a larger diameter hole. This is pretty much larger than any of your standard spiral bits, so that's why we're using one of these kind of specialty bits. And just to demonstrate, I'm not gonna clamp this down, I'm just gonna hold it and try to drill this hole. We'll see what happens. That was a lot of drilling. I still didn't drill all the way through, and using a handheld drill, the sides are not going to be perfectly perpendicular to my surface. So let's try that again in the drill press. All right, so the drill press is basically a big vertical drill. This is one of the kind of evolution of milling machines and equipment. That lineage goes all the way back to ancient Greece and Egypt. They're using lathes, which we have back here. That's kind of the early rotary milling device. That evolved into a boring machine, which is very closely related to a drill press, and eventually in the late 1800s, a drill press. And so a drill press, it is basically a big vertical drill. The benefits of this over using a hand drill is really stability, torque, and pressure. So the stability comes from the fact that I can anchor my piece to the plate here, and that the drill is definitely not going to wobble. It's a big, very stable drill, and it's got the downward pressure in a very controllable way and a bunch of torque. It's actually belt driven by a pretty powerful motor, so it's going to drill through whatever I want to drill. The big thing when you're drilling something with a bunch of torque is being able to hold it still. Just like your cordless drill, it has a chuck. That's basically 3 grippers that are going to tighten and loosen as you turn the drill. The drill press, this is more like your old school corded drills. It has a chuck key and a chuck. So electric drill, a cordless drill has a hand chuck. This has a chuck key. Once I stick it in there and crank it, it's going to loosen the 3 teeth on there. And then I can put in my Forstner bit. If you're really cool like us, you've 3D printed a nice little caddy for your chuck key also. All right, so because of the amount of torque on a drill press, you always want to clamp your material down. So there are a couple ways to do that. You can just clamp it directly to the bed. That works great, especially if you can clamp on both sides. That's going to stop when the bit grabs my wood. It's going to stop it from spinning it around and flinging it at me, which can happen pretty easily on a drill press if you're not careful. The other thing you can do is some sort of jig. And so this is the jig we use for prepping these materials. and we can clamp this down, and with that and these walls here, it's going to stop it from spinning. So at that point, all I need to do is hold this steadily in place and we're good to go. Important to note that setting up a drill press can take quite a while. You're kind of trading off for the precision of a drill press and the efficiency. So as you can see, we actually make a ton of these, so it's very worth it for us to spend the time setting up the drill press, and then it makes our process a lot faster. So that's it, much faster and much cleaner. And all right, that's pretty much it. So next step would be just to add some wood glue and screw this in. You could also nail it in. If you want to personalize it, you could stain it. You could bring it to our laser cutter and throw your family name on it. But that's it. You've got yourself your very own paper towel holder. You can mount this to the underside of a cabinet, or you can just leave it on the table like that. If you have any questions about the tools that we have here at Maker Playground, or a fun activity that you can do with your family, please drop them in the comments. Thanks.